so excited. It just looks beautiful. Yummy, Chef. Oh, goodness, that aroma is fantastic. Oh, doesn't that look great? Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. I am so honored today to have as my very special guest, Monica Kaufman Pearson. She was the anchor on WSB-TV in Atlanta for 37 years, and she doesn't even look 37. Oh my goodness. You know, in 1975, she took Atlanta, Georgia by storm. But today, Monica, you've offered to come teach me how to make two of your favorite recipes.
And that's because you're going to give me one of your caramel cakes.
So what are we going to be making today?
We're going to be making Mama Hattie's cheese and mac and making my famous Rumbo yams.
Yes, and then I am going to show you how to do that caramel cake. And in Vera's Corner today, we're going to do some hostess gifts that are perfect if you're going somewhere to take to the host or just to make your house smell great. So, Monica, let's just kind of move right into, you know, your career, what you're doing. I don't know whether the viewers noticed it or not on their TV listing, but we're calling this episode Recipes for Success. And that could not be more strongly demonstrated than in your career. And the fact that you like to cook on top of that.
Love to cook.
So you have won 33 Southeastern Regional Awards.
Emmys, yeah.
Emmys. And you know, all the things that you've done in the community, you've been talked about on the floor of the House of Representatives in the state of Georgia. I mean, your career just spans all of these years and is still doing so many wonderful things. So tell me about where you grew up. Did you start in Atlanta?
I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a Kentucky girl in a house where my mother loved to cook. She was the first person in my family to graduate from high school. I am the second and the first to graduate from college and then to earn a master's degree. Went to the University of Louisville and then got my master's from UGA. I'm a bulldog.
Go Dogs, yes.
Reason I'm in red and black. And then I'm married, husband of 15 years, John Pearson, who was in law enforcement for...
He's really good looking too.
He really is, and he's also a good cook. I have a daughter who will be 40 this year, Claire, and I have a bonus son who will be 35 this year. John's 90-year-old mother lives with us, so we're spoiling her. And sweet Hattie died 4 years ago, so that's the reason why I'm really happy I can make her recipe today.
To do these things. And you know, she's not going to tell you this, but I am. She's also in 5 Hall of Fames. The National Association of Black Journalists, the University of Kentucky School of Journalism, the Georgia Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame, the Atlanta Press Club. I mean, oh my goodness. And then finally, Georgia Music. How did that happen?
Well, I actually used to MC their program every year, but believe it or not, I am a singer.
Well, we might have you sing when you come the next time. We'll cook and sing at the same time.
I love the idea.
All right, so tell me about any notable women or just notable people that you've interviewed.
I loved riding on Road Atlanta with Paul Newman in his car. James Earl Jones, the actor, interviewing him, and to see Will Smith as we're walking out of the hotel, he sees James Earl and goes, and he becomes a real, honest-to-goodness fan. He's no longer a star, he's a fan. Interviewed Jane Fonda, Dolly Parton, who was hilarious. I asked her what she looked like when she wasn't wearing makeup. She said, I look like hell. She said, well, what do you look like? I said, I look like hell too.
No, she doesn't, because I saw her this morning.
But I have really been blessed to interview some wonderful people.
Well, in the interview process, just like for, you know, usually the shoe is on the other foot. I'm asking you questions now, you know, you're usually asking the questions. What's the hardest part about the whole interview process?
Preparing for the interview, because the more you know about a person, the better the interview can be. And you have to learn to listen, because sometimes things will come up in the interview that you had not known about that takes you in another direction and makes it a much better interview.
Well, to that point in all of the stuff, and let me tell you, I had to take a whole week to read about all the magazine articles, everything that you've been written up in. And one of the things I found out about you, Monica, was that you collect cookbooks.
I love cookbooks.
So I'm looking at the shelf in our kitchen where we're working today, and I thought, oh, we need to straighten up the cookbook corner because she's going to be looking at it. But you know, you do have a wonderful cookbook collection.
I do, and my favorite one is from the Shaker Colony in Kentucky because they're very basic recipes, but flavorful recipes.
I need to get that one myself. Well, we've talked a lot about cooking. I cannot wait to get in the kitchen and make these recipes. So what do you say we get started?
I'm ready because, I can smell those yams.
All right, y'all come back with us in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. And if you're just joining me, I'm with my good friend, Monica Pearson. And you know, Monica, you have always been so successful at everything you've done. And I understand that this cheese and mac is one of the most successful recipes in your family. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, what I love about this recipe is my mother's. And my mama Hattie always used to say, what makes macaroni and cheese her cheese and mac is because it's full of cheese, which makes it full of flavor, and you can hear your arteries going.
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, and you know, you should put the ingredient first that has the most in the recipe.
Well, believe me, this has a lot of cheese in it. And you know, it's really simple to do too. You boil, you know, your macaroni, but my mom always would flavor the water, and you would taste the water because she said, what you put into the water goes into the food. So the macaroni,
She's
instead
right.
of having to put salt and pepper on each layer, you salt and pepper and butter the macaroni.
Awesome.
Spray the pan with Pam.
Okay, let me do that. Oh. And I always do this over the sink because I just end up making a mess otherwise.
And we don't want everything to stick.
That's right.
And
Okay.
then you put in, now what's the other interesting thing about this? Mother always layered hers. You know, most people throw the cheese and all of that together and cook it on the stove. Mother always said 1 layer of macaroni, so go
Okay.
on. And we use our hands
know.
for this.
I'm so glad I got permission to do that.
Yeah, I love
And
cooking
see, the
with my
fact of the
fingers.
matter is that you can see the pepper
Yes.
all the way through it.
Yes,
It's
which is the
awesome.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And then kind of spread it out.
Okay.
And then, because we want
half
everything
of it,
to,
right?
yeah, let's
Okay.
don't put too much on there.
Okay, Monica.
Yeah, so, whoa, stop,
Okay.
stop. That's too much. So now what we'll do is we mix the 2 cheeses together. And the reason you do that is you want them to really blend.
Okay, well, I taught you a new trick today.
Yes, you did. I had to shred the cheese. I'm gonna be honest with you, I usually just buy the stuff already shredded, but you're telling
No
me
more.
it's gonna be great just like this.
I mean, you're
okay?
going to honestly taste the difference,
Okay.
so I'm so excited about
So
it.
we do that. And
So
I'm
this is sharp cheddar.
sharp cheddar
and Monterey
and
Jack.
Monterey Jack. You just sprinkle it all over. And I think
See, doesn't it feel so fluffy? Doesn't it feel better than the process, Monica?
Yes, you're right, but you know, it's so much easier to do it the other way.
Well, if you're in a hurry.
Okay, another layer.
Okay. All right, who else have you taught? how to
Steve
make-
Austin.
Okay, so you've taught Steve Austin
Yes,
and Vera.
in his kitchen, I actually taught him how to do this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was so much fun. And he is a good cook anyway, so
Well,
let's
did
just
he
spread
put
it out.
he probably did a better job of putting the macaroni in than me.
But that's okay,
His
that's
muscles
okay.
are a little bigger than mine.
And we're gonna spread it all out there. All righty,
Okay, almost done.
almost done.
I'll just spread that
And
about.
now, let's spread it all out. There we go.
Okay.
And now I take the egg, 1 egg,
Okay.
and a cup of milk. And I love doing it in here because it's easier to
Oh yeah, the liquid measuring cup
Yes.
when it's a liquid is just the best.
just kind of whip it together. You could use a
All
whisk,
right.
but I just use a fork.
Okay, and we've got the oven preheated at 350, and this bakes for 45 minutes to an hour?
Yes, now if you
Okay.
do it the night before, which is what I oftentimes do, it takes a solid hour.
Okay.
But today, since we're doing this, and you pour this all over, because this kind of like makes a custardy.
Right, so we're gonna have to
and
go
holds
into a
it
quick
together.
break. So we'll finish putting the cheese on top before it goes in the oven. And in Vera's Corner today, I'm gonna give you some tips on hospitality gifts that make the house smell great. And then what are we gonna be making after the break?
Oh, then we're gonna make my favorite yams. Rumbo. That's because they're full of rum and bourbon.
Rumbo. Come back with us in just a few minutes.
Don't go away. Woo-hoo.
Vera's Corner is sponsored by TaxSlayer. It's your refund. Go get it. Are you looking for a great hospitality gift, or do you just want the house to smell wonderful? Well, I've got the perfect idea for how to do just that. Let's start with a scent that smells just like fall. Take 1 orange, 2 cinnamon sticks, a half a tablespoon of cloves, and a half tablespoon of allspice. Add all of these ingredients into a mason jar and then add water. This warm cinnamon smell is perfect for the holidays. Next is a clean lime scent. Add 3 limes, 4 sprigs of thyme, a half a teaspoon of mint extract, and a teaspoon of vanilla paste. Add water to the jar. The mint extract is optional, but is really worth it. Lastly, for a citrus smell, use 2 lemons, 3 sprigs of fresh rosemary, and 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. Add water to the jar. These quick and easy homemade gifts will make your home smell wonderful. They can be heated on a low simmer over the stove for hours. Or they can simmer in a slow cooker on low. They also can be kept in the freezer for up to 2 weeks to maintain freshness and smell. These scents make great gifts or can make your own home smell amazing for the holidays or any day. Welcome back, everybody. And Monica, I'm going to take our little copper kettle off because we've got so much going on, but I hope you'll think about some of those tips for how to make your house smell amazing. It's a great gift.
It really is.
Okay, so tell me about this Rumbo yam. I'm telling you, I'm ready.
Rumbo honey yams. Now, while you're finishing getting our potatoes all done, remember we boiled them, and again, we flavored the water with butter and with, of course, brown sugar. And when you finish doing that, you'll butter our casserole dish over here with butter. And the reason I prefer butter is because of the flavor.
Yes.
And while you're doing that, peeling those, I'm over here making basically the syrup. Now, here's what's interesting about this. You put the butter in, and then you put the brown sugar in because you want to create your syrup. So I like to I actually use this to stir it with.
Yes.
And once I get that all done and melted.
Now, I know you're kind of new to the induction cooktop.
Yes, I am.
But I hope you're enjoying cooking on it because I tell you, we love it.
And then I add my frozen orange juice, which gives it a little tang.
I mean, is that a great ingredient?
I know. Gives it a little tang, which I think it needs.
All right.
And
then honestly, with the flavoring you put in this water, I can just eat the skin over here, right?
Exactly.
When we get done.
And that flavor goes all the way through the sweet potato. Again, flavor the water, flavor the food. So we're melting everything together. And once this starts getting liquidy.
Gosh, I love the smell of it.
I love the smell of it too. And then my spices are really simple. Allspice and cinnamon.
Nothing better. Speaking of aromas in the house, right? You know, and you think about these things, certainly at Thanksgiving time, but these kinds of dishes are just great throughout the whole fall.
Oh, they
and
are.
the winter, you know, while these root vegetables are in season.
And my daughter loves this.
Claire?
Claire, this is her favorite dish.
Now, where did this recipe come from?
To make a long story short, again, it was my mother's recipe, but it always seemed to me I wanted something with a little more oomph to it. So that's where we get into this what my next ingredients are.
Yeah, well.
What can I say? Of course, coming from Kentucky, having worked for Brown-Forman Distillers, I used some Jack Daniels.
Oh, man. And you never tasted it, right?
Never tasted it, never. And then I also used some Appleton Estate rum from Jamaica.
Gosh. Now, have I got this butter in the casserole dish good enough?
Now, I leave this in here. There we go. Now, my secret ingredient. To get the bourbon flavor that I want, if I would add as much bourbon as I'd like, my family would not be able to walk away from the table.
Do not drive after
Do
eating
not
this
drive.
recipe.
So I have this Truth honey, which is honey and bourbon infused, and I use like a cup of that. Okay, I think that's there. Oh, it's so good. And I found these people. I was at a fashion show that I was emceeing, Doggies on the Catwalk, and they were there. And I tasted it and said, oh, this is great. But this is not the only thing they do. They do medicinal drinks with honey and
Okay, I gotta cut fast because you gotta get that.
orange juice and just all kinds of stuff. And they also, what I really like is what they do in the school system. They have beehives in certain schools.
Oh, yes.
And the kids are learning how to produce that. And then they have a give back program. It's when the kids harvest the honey. And it's an award-winning company. All right.
Okay, and I can just put these on top.
Yeah,
for a
just go
second
on and put
layer,
them on
right?
top.
Okay.
And actually, you don't need a second layer. Now, I need you to do a slurry for me when you
Okay.
finish with that.
All right.
And what's important about the slurry is that if you want it really, really thick, you make that thick. If you want it thin sauce, then that's how you do it.
Okay. So
You
I'm
do
gonna,
less.
so I'm gonna pour that
Oh,
in
that's
there.
smelling good. That's smelling good. Yes. There we go. And then this
Okay,
will
so we're
thicken
gonna
up.
top that on this during the break, and then when we come back, we're going to get all of this laid out, and I'm gonna taste everything. We're gonna learn a little bit more about Monica here at the end, and so come back with us in just a few minutes.
Ooh, this is good.
Welcome back, everybody. And you know, Monica, I've had the best time.
It's been fun for me.
And you know, one thing that we've talked about so much, but one thing we didn't talk about is when you were getting that job at WSB in 1975, there were two other candidates that they were interviewing.
Jane Pauley and Oprah Winfrey.
Excuse me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and why did I name this show Recipe for Success? And obviously the fact that she knows how to cook has really made today
This
so
has been
amazing.
wonderful.
So tell us a little bit about this. And I'm gonna be
Cheesy
trying.
mac, it's really good. My mom's recipe. You just boil that macaroni in seasoned. Ooh, look at that.
Look at that.
Oh, it does look good. Oh, in seasoned water, and you grate up your cheese and a cup of milk and an egg. Mix it together, pour it over, cook it for 30 minutes.
Ooh,
How is it?
It is wonderful.
And you don't need salt.
No, you don't need salt, and it is definitely full of cheese.
And then my other favorite is my recipe, and that's my Rumbo honey yams.
Look at
I
that
know.
sauce.
And that's the best part. And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add some zest to it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so just
So you
let's-
zested that orange. Gosh, I've made you great cheese
There you
today
go.
and zest oranges.
And those are easy to do. Now I'm dying to know what you think of it.
Y'all don't need to have anything else for your next dinner party. You're looking at it right here. And Monica has been so gracious to share the recipes, and they will all be on our website at VeryVera.com.
And very Vera, my sweet Vera, you know what you can do with the leftovers?
What?
Make it into a pie. Add an egg, mash up good, add an egg, put a little bit of milk in it, and bake it into a pie.
Okay, so I've got a surprise for you.
You do?
I do.
I was going to tell you about this. This
me
is
that
the
real
extra
quick.
sauce. If you have leftover, put it on ice cream.
Okay, so I've got a surprise for you.
What's
so
that?
back in the day, Monica got a gift in the mail, and it was a.
VeryVera caramel cake. The best caramel cake I have ever
And then the next
had.
thing you know, we're getting cake orders from Monica Kaufman Pearson from Atlanta, and I was just going crazy. So I have taught Monica how to make the cake today. So while we were getting everything set up today, she also learned how to do the caramel layer cake. So we've got the yellow layers made. She learned the trick of using a half pan to just cut, making sure that your knife is on the two sides. You just cut it so all your layers are completely even. And then we made the icing, which is amazing. The whole kitchen just smelled so good. So that's melting butter, You add your brown sugar, you whisk until all the butter is absorbed, then you allow it to really bubble for a couple of minutes. You want to stir it, then you put it into a mixer and get the confectioner's sugar in there and just get it nice and consistent. And then you let it cool off a minute. Then I showed you how to do the VeryVera swirl on the top of the cake. It turned out so good. So I have a surprise for you. You get to take one home in the original box that we used to mail them in. So I just cannot thank you enough for being my guest today and for coming down from Atlanta and joining us. And everybody, you need to read more on this woman. She is just amazing. You know, I say on the VeryVera show, no matter what you do it in good case. Miss Hattie's looking down.
Yes.
She is so proud of her daughter. And I want you to come back with us again next week because we're going to be doing all of my favorite mail order gifts. Who knew? So come back and join us. And thanks again, Monica.
And I was licking all the bowls.
To see what's cooking with the VeryVera show, follow us on Facebook and Instagram and on Cottage Ketchup.